We're back, and this week we're presenting you with the Say What You Like podcast NFL Divisional Week podcast edition. And first thing that we want to get into is we want to recap the NFL wildcard weekend that took place. And in one of the more sorrier games in a long time, sorrier playoff games, we want to recap the Texans with their win over the Raiders, 27-14. Eric, what'd you think?
Well, I got corrected apparently because I was thinking that the Raiders were going to do it. One thing I didn't know, and that's my own fault, is Donald Penn being out. I think that did make a difference. He's a Pro Bowl left tackle. As the game went on, it probably didn't change the outcome, but knowing that he wouldn't have been there probably would have changed my pick. It didn't matter. What I didn't see coming were two things. One, Jadeveon Clowney just destroying that whole offensive line. I mean, he almost tried to pick him off on the first screen. He picked him off on the second. And then Connor Cook, I thought in my head, okay, you have Crabtree, you have Amari Cooper. You're going to be able to run the ball a little bit, and you're going to give him some time. He's going to be able to take him apart. And I thought Brock Osweiler was just going to Brock Osweiler all over the place. And boy, was I wrong.
Yeah, for Brock Osweiler played decent, but I think this game was a little bit more about the Raiders. And again, it was a disappointing loss. I kind of feel sorry for, Raider fans and Raider Nation, as hard as that is to say as a Cowboys fan. But there's a lot of positives, so I'll just leave saying, Derek Carr is going to be coming back next season. Also, Connor Cook looked better in the fourth quarter than he did in the first. So those are the positives that you can take from a pretty sorry game that they played. The other Saturday game, the Seahawks win over the Lions 26-6. What'd you think about that game?
I felt good because that one I called kind of pretty much right. I felt like it was going to be close early and Seattle would pull away at the end. I mean, I didn't know that the 12th man meant the referees, but it's nice to know.
It does.
I mean, okay, the Paul Richardson, when he caught that touchdown, that's amazing. I know he got the face mask, but still, that's an amazing. When you make a catch like that, you know what? You want to stomp on a guy, knock yourself out. I didn't even care because that's amazing.
Pete Carroll's back at it.
Yep. I mean, but that one hit on Russell Wilson, come on.
Oh, yeah.
Get out of here with that stuff. It's quarterbacks. But their ability to run the ball and just the Stafford injury really hurt them.
Yeah. I mean, losing 4 straight.
Yeah.
I mean, to end the season after they were 9-5?
Yeah, I'm around there.
Like
9-4. Yeah.
But to lose 4 straight at the end of the year, it all went downhill after he injured his throwing hand.
And they showed you on the splint,
Yeah.
you can't bend it, you can't grip it. So, I mean, you're kind of just like shot putting a football. And their offense is that passing game. That passing game opens up their running game. Seattle keyed on it. That's still just a defense that still knows how to key on one thing and stop you. I thought it was going to be close because I didn't think Seattle's offense is all that great anymore. But I knew as time wore on, they would wear that defense out.
Yeah.
And, comes to show Seattle kind of still does their thing in the playoffs.
Yeah. And then the two, I guess, better games on a Sunday, the Steelers win over the Dolphins with the score of 30-12. I thought that game was going to be a little bit closer, so I was a bit surprised. But I think the biggest thing to note coming out of this game is Big Ben leaves the stadium in a walking boot.
Yeah, that's not something you want to see if you're a Steelers fan. But at least he didn't get his soul knocked out of him like what Bud Dupree did to Matt Moore.
Yeah, that was sick.
I mean, I saw that. I was like, oh, rest in peace. I was doing the rosary. Someone should have gave him his last rites because that shot. He came back. I thought, okay, that's crazy, first of all.
The Steelers, their back end may not be great, but they can hit hard.
Yeah, that defense is built to play with the lead because, I mean, Bud Dupree and you still have James Harrison who – I mean, he changed that game single-handedly.
And they still have that guy that the NFL didn't have any film on in the draft, Mike Mitchell.
Oh, my God, he's there. That's right. Yeah,
that guy,
I think they got some film on him now.
Yeah, they do. So,
that's good.
That's good. But
Ben played as Ben does. And, I mean, that running game got started. And I think what happened was it was something where it was an avalanche. Because Miami was able to go down the field. I mean, they would get chunk plays. They'd get running. But, man, you get in the red zone.
Couldn't score.
Fumble. And, I mean, that one play where Harrison drops back into coverage and he just bends around the tackle. I mean, there's nothing you can do. No. And he hits like a ton of bricks. I think what happened there was a team that was just happy to be there, face a team that just knew it should be there. And as the game wore on, I mean...
They knew who the better team was.
Exactly.
Which brings us to the last game of the wild card weekend. The Green Bay Packers defeat the New York Giants by a score of 38-13. I think we both missed our predictions on this one. We both took the Giants. I was a bit surprised that they were able to blow them out towards the end. But, the game still kind of played out the way I thought, because I thought that defense was going to get after Rodgers, and they did, especially in that first quarter. And even going into the end of the second half, it wasn't until the Hail Mary that the defense seemed to fall apart.
Well, yeah. I felt pretty confident because it was like everyone had talked about, well, this isn't the same Eli. You can't compare him to past playoff Eli's when he's won. But, man, he went in there and he looked like old Green Bay Eli that goes into Green Bay and beats Aaron Rodgers. He could move the ball. That defense, they had 8 yards. Green Bay had 8 yards going in the second. They shut them down. And it was just Odell Beckham not coming up when you needed him. You're supposedly the best receiver in football, according to some people, which is ridiculous. You need to make that play.
Max Kellerman?
Yeah, that's the most ridiculous statement that Odell's.
The no best. Bias there.
Yes, no, none at all. That's like saying you're the best quarterback, but you throw interceptions in the red zone.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm the best running back, but I fumble at the 1 yard line.
Just don't show up when it matters.
Yeah, exactly. And they could have had a chance, man. He catches that.
Yeah.
You can, if you started to put points on their 17-20 before Green Bay can get their footing, you force Aaron Rodgers to panic. You can press, but you look at it like you left him in the game. You let Aaron Rodgers in the game. I think the Hail Mary was the beginning of the end. He Eli'd Eli.
He did.
And then, I still think that coming into halftime, the Giants get the ball. They go right down the field. Bam, bam, bam.
Yeah.
They get theirs. Okay, 13-14. We got a game. And the way Aaron Rodgers just went 30, 30, 30. Felt like just chunk, touchdown. And that's when you knew that the Giants looked around and said, our defense isn't going to win it this time.
Yeah.
We're not going to stop him. And I think
with the receivers dropping balls, I think Eli, did what he had to do for the most part. But when the receivers are letting you down, what are you going to do? That defense wasn't able to keep them from scoring in so many possessions that Aaron Rodgers got. He got a lot of possessions.
Yeah, and it's because you're dropping balls. You're not converting third downs. You got to keep them off the field.
You have to. So let's take a look at this week, which I hope and should be better games. The divisional round of the playoffs. And the first game of the week on Saturday will be the Seattle Seahawks at the Atlanta Falcons. And the Falcons, I believe, are the favorite. They're favored by 4.5 points.
I look at it like, I think that's right, because you're playing at home. You're the number 2 seed. You just lost on a fluky call in Seattle during the season. And as great as Seattle is, there's just a part of me that feels that.
You want to say fluky? I'll call it bad.
Well, because, that was a call. That should have been pass interference on.
Pass interference.
I think that was a bad call. I think, also you got to figure this is a kind of a coming of age game for Dan Quinn facing his mentor.
Yeah.
In Pete Carroll. I look on paper and I just have this gut feeling that, man, Atlanta has the ability to go in there and blow them out. I really do. I look at last year and how Seattle squeaked by. And then all of a sudden they went into Carolina. Oh, yeah, we got it. We're still legitimate. And they got smacked in the face.
Yeah. Well, just to show you what these teams are capable of on offense, the Atlanta offense averages 33.8 points per game. And the Seattle offense finishes with 22.1 points per game. So you're looking at about a 12 to 13 point difference. That's almost 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, that's true. And they played pretty good defenses, Atlanta has. The key is stopping the running game of Seattle. Being able to get extra possessions by not letting Russell Wilson convert on third down with his legs, not letting him make plays. Russell Wilson is like the modern day Fran Tarkenton. He's just a little magician, makes plays when he shouldn't. That touchdown in the last game, that was ridiculous.
That was a good play.
But I think Seattle missing Earl Thomas is too much to ask. I don't think Richard Sherman has the ability to cover Julio Jones one-on-one. And without Earl Thomas, I think he has a field day.
But they move Julio Jones all around the field.
That's true.
They put him in the slot. They put him in motion sometimes. They switch sides. And Sherman usually doesn't travel. He's been doing it a lot more this season. But still, he's not going to stop Julio Jones. I just think Atlanta's offense is too versatile. And I think that they run a lot of, I won't call them trick plays, but they put a lot of wrinkles into their offense. And I think that's going to be... I think you can account for about 2 or 3 big plays that are just going to catch the Seahawks off guard.
I also think that they have two running backs in Coleman and Devonta Freeman who can catch out of the backfield. You're going to be able to put one in, you line up in a regular formation, I formation, or you put Devonta Freeman in the back, you split him out wide, you force the linebacker to have to cover him. You can identify defenses if you're Matt Ryan, okay, where they're playing man, and you could figure out, okay, now I know how to get it to Julio. They don't have a lot of weapons besides Julio that I trust. It's him, and then you have, I think, Tyler Gabriel.
Yeah.
You have some players. Can those guys make plays? If the Legion of Boom sits there and says, we're going to take, as a collective, not Richard Sherman, but the Legion of Boom says, we're going to take him out. They can limit him. If that's what they decide to do, that's when other guys have to make plays. Your Devonta Freeman, your Tevin Coleman. And that defense is underrated. I think Vic Beasley can get after Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
And I think that at home, they want to prove, Atlanta is so desperate to prove that they belong with these NFC powerhouses.
Elite teams.
They're the second seed, and we treat them like they're a joke.
We don't even talk about them. You don't ever see the national media talk about the Atlanta. How many times do you see First Take or any of these shows on ESPN, Fox Sports? When do they ever talk about the Atlanta Falcons? Yeah. Almost never.
Yeah. Didn't they beat Green Bay? You hear
they
more about
did beat Green Bay. And they beat some of these playoff teams.
Yeah, and I look at it like they're going to fight for their respect. I think Pete Carroll he's got something waiting for him when he goes into Seattle. I think that Legion of Boom is broken. That defense is still good, but I think Matt Ryan and him are better.
Yeah, with the loss of Earl Thomas playing center field for them, they, being the eraser that he is, that he can, turn a good play and make it look bad.
Yeah.
Because he's in the back end. Matt Ryan.
He's going to take it apart. And he's there.
Exactly.
Earl Thomas you just see the difference. It's night and day. I mean, he tells everyone. He allows Cam Chancellor to go in the box and he says, Cam, hit that.
Yeah.
Richard, you line up here.
Right.
He allows, and then that other corner is, I think,
he allows Cam Chancellor to play the middle of the field, play that robber role, where he's going to take everything going across, all those crossing routes, throw them out the window, or you're going to take a big hit at the very least. You're going to make you think twice about running those routes throughout the entire game. But without Earl Thomas being able to back him up on the deep side of the field, the deep portion of the field, I mean, you're taking that away. And now you're having to use Cam Chancellor on the back end of that.
And
defense.
I also think that you have, Don Quinn, who is with Seattle, was Seattle's defensive coordinator. Yeah. He knows how to implement that cover 3. So he knows the weaknesses of that cover 3. One of the things is lining 2 receivers on Sherman's side, confusing the safety corner combination, And when one of those receivers is Julio Jones, you're going to bite on that every time.
Yeah.
So I think we both are kind of leaning in agreement. What do you have for the score for this game?
I'm going to go 38-24 Atlanta Falcons.
I got 34-24 Atlanta Falcons too. I think they move close. On. Yep.
Okay, that brings us to the second game on Saturday. And that's going to kick off at 5:15 Pacific time. We have the Texans going up to New England to face the Patriots. And the Patriots are 16-point favorites.
That's ridiculous. I think if you add up the other 3, does that even equal 16?
No,
as
it
far
doesn't.
As the
not even close. Lines? I think you can add up the other 3, times it by 3.
And still
won't be 16.
It's the product of Brock Osweiler going against Tom Brady.
And let's face it, Brock Osweiler is the worst quarterback in these playoffs.
Oh, yeah. As what's left, I mean, it's him by himself, and not in a good way, and then everybody else.
Everybody else.
He lost his job. The only reason he has his job is because Savage got hurt. And not only do the Texans have to play a great game, but like you said, they have to score on defense.
They're going to have to score on defense to even have a shot to be competitive and win this game. And, like we were talking earlier before we got on the mic, and Jadeveon Clowney is slowly but surely proving that he's deserving of that number 1 pick.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he caused a lot of havoc in the wild card game.
Yeah. I think that for him, it was, A, getting healthy, and B, the Texans trying to figure out how to best use him. Do we put him at outside linebacker because we run a 3-4? Do we put him at D-end? Can he cause LeGarrette Blount to fumble? Can he get a strip sack?
He's going to need to.
Yeah.
He's going to need to.
I'm sure Belichick sees that. That defense is really good. I mean, you look at that with Whitney Merciless on the other side.
Yeah.
I mean, they still have Vince Wilfork who can at least plug the middle.
Right.
They have a great back end. I mean, that team, if in a vacuum, the Houston Texans are a really talented team. Even on offense with Lamar Miller, Nuke Hopkins, Will Fuller. They're a really good – it's just their quarterback is so inept. Just so inept. And that's the reason why this line is so big. And you just look at it like Belichick's going to sit there. First, he's going to look at that Texan defense. He's going to say, okay, how do I keep Tom clean? What do I have to do to keep Tom Brady clean? How do I keep Jadeveon Clowney from ruining this game plan? He'll figure it out. That doesn't mean that you won't hear from Jadeveon Clowney, but he's going to find a way to at least slow him down. And then you look at Brock Osweiler, well, I'm just going to send the house at him, or I can send coverage blitzes, zone blitzes, and confuse him. He's going to throw it to us a couple times.
That's what I think too.
And I mean, that game doesn't feel like I feel like that game can get out of hand. Maybe not with the score, but with the play on the field.
Right.
It's
going to look like a bigger blowout than the scoreboard might indicate.
Yeah.
With all that being said, I have my pick. I'm going to go here 30-13 Patriots.
I got 28-13 Patriots.
Whoa. You're cheating. You're looking at my sheet.
I just think that the Texans aren't going to be able to move the ball. I think they'll get a couple field goals. They may get a last touchdown, and I think Tom will put up 4 quick touchdowns. They'll pull him, or they'll slow it down. They'll take him out.
Garoppolo time.
Yep. And then they'll get ready for the AFC Championship game.
Bottom line, I just see Belichick smart enough to know I'm going to make Brock Osweiler beat him. Beat my team. And I don't see that happening.
No, that's an impossibility.
Yeah, damn near. Now, these Sunday games, you got to take a look at these Sunday games, and I'm saying both these games look like great games on paper.
Yeah. Oh, these are the ones you're waiting for.
I'm going to be, glued to the television set on Sunday. Maybe not so much Saturday, but the first game kicks off at 10:05 Pacific time, and it's going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers traveling to Kansas City, and the Chiefs are a 1.5 point favorite.
Well, let me get your thoughts on this one first.
Well, look, I really like both these teams. I think Pittsburgh's offense is rolling right now. Pittsburgh's offense looks like, probably the best offense, at least in the AFC, but arguably in both sides, even including the NFC. But with Big Ben coming out of the game in a walking boot, I heard he's out of it already. I heard everything's fine. Tomlin had a press conference, I think, yesterday and said, he's out of the boot. Everything's going to be fine. He's going to play. There's no way Big Ben misses this game. I don't think it's going to affect his play on the field too much, but just knowing that he's slightly hurt just kind of furtherly tips the scales in the Kansas City defense's side to me. Yeah. Kansas City has the playmakers to score on defense. They have Marcus Peters. He's a playmaker.
Oh yeah.
He might miss an assignment, he might jump the route, he might get burned, but he'll also be the one to return that for a score. Return a pick for a score.
Sure, especially if you can get pressure on Ben.
Yeah.
Or if you can force Ben, if he is maybe a little bit hobbled or he's a little sore after, a couple quarters, right. He kind of feels that pain in that ankle, and he looks for Antonio Brown. I think this is going to be great, and what I really want to see is Antonio Brown versus Marcus Peters. I just feel like that's going to be a great matchup, cornerback on wide receiver to watch. I think you have a guy who's very fluid in Antonio Brown. That's the best wide receiver in pro football right now. You have Marcus Peters, who's just such an athletic cornerback that he can jump routes. I mean, it's not like you get certain matchups where it's like, oh, it's this tall, big receiver against this. No, you got two guys that are kind of just so fluid. They're great athletes, and it's exciting to watch.
They're exciting players.
Yeah.
Yeah, hands down. They're probably two of the most exciting. This is going to be a very exciting one-on-one matchup.
It comes down to, can Kansas City stop Le'Veon Bell?
And you know what? I mean, I don't see that happening. As good as that Kansas City defense is, I think they're more geared towards, getting after the quarterback with D Ford, Justin Houston. But stopping Le'Veon Bell, especially because, you can go ahead and you can spread him outside, and I think the matchups are going to be tough.
I mean, you have to sell out to stop him.
Yeah.
You really do. And he's such an interesting back where he'll stop. I've never seen a back do that where he'll stop. And you think, okay, he's about to get hit, and he'll just cut for 8 yards. Right. And you're like, how did he do that? He's very patient, but he's decisive too. He's not wasting motion. He's very efficient as a running back. Like you said, if you can get Pittsburgh in 3rd and 8, you'll be 3rd and 12, and you can, send D Ford, send Ollie, you can jump routes, you can play Marcus Peters back.
You can play the aggressive defense that Kansas City is able to play.
And then the one part of the game that favors Kansas City, I think, a lot is got to be special teams.
Special teams. Oh, yeah. We both thought Tyreek Hill was definitely, had to be an honorable mention for Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
And like I said when we spoke earlier, he can affect the game in a variety of different ways on offense and in special teams. And just think about how he can affect field position if they don't want to punt to him.
Yeah. And if it's a close game, he can make the difference.
Exactly. It can be an easy 3.
Yeah. You sit there and say, okay, it's a close game. Maybe Ben doesn't have it, and it's a 10-7 game, a 14-10 game. The fear for Kansas City is if they fall behind quickly. If they go down 17-0, I think Pittsburgh can pour it on them because you don't trust Alex Smith to be able to lead you.
Alex Smith isn't going to win a shootout.
No,
with Ben Roethlisberger.
No,
it's not going to happen.
And it's in Kansas City. And
Kansas City's tough in Kansas City.
I think Kansas City beats almost everybody in Kansas City. Every once in a while you'll beat them there, but it's a playoff game. It's in Kansas City. They've had a week to rest. But man, as much as I do like that defense and I like Peters and I like Tyreek Hill, I'm just going to roll. My philosophy is if teams are evenly matched, I go with the quarterback, and I just trust Big Ben to pull one out in Kansas City, get his team in the AFC Championship game, and I got the Steelers beating the Chiefs 24-21. I think Ben leads them down for a field goal, and they win the game.
Not bad, not bad. Hard to argue with that. My thinking runs very similarly to yours. I think this is a very close game. I think you have the Pittsburgh offense matching up against that Kansas City defense, and it is close. And you're right, the Steelers do have a huge advantage at quarterback, but I also think that it nullifies it a bit because Kansas City's at home. So the last thing that I looked at was, being an old NFC East guy, Andy Reid has an amazing record coming out of a bye week. His teams always play hard and are prepared, fresh, coming out of the bye week. And Kansas City, thanks to Derek Carr's injury, got that first round bye. And because of that, I'm going to go 27-23 Kansas City Chiefs. I think that defense just finds a way. I think Tyreek Hill makes a big play. I don't know how he's going to score. He might do it on defense. I don't know.
Yeah,
he's good. Somehow, some way, he's going to score 7.
Jump on the field.
Yeah,
and take it.
Yeah, and just get it. And I think he's going to put 7, and I think that'll be enough. So that brings us to the game of the week, the last game on Sunday, the game everybody's talking about, the national media, the Green Bay Packers, or we'll just call them the Aaron Rodgers, at Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys are a 4.5-point favorite.
Well, I'm gonna let the Cowboy fan go ahead, and I want to hear your take on this.
Why are you thinking about? You can't possibly be thinking about picking Green Bay.
You mean the Aaron Rodgers who
right? You can't possibly be picking
just torched the defense that put you guys in check. Yeah,
that defense matches up pretty well with us. But all right, I'll make my first point. My first point is this: who's on defense for Green Bay?
I know it's
Julius Peppers,
Clay Matthews, and then I don't know,
and 14 bunch dudes, of other guys.
14 dudes from Green Bay.
Yeah, that's it. And I look at just what everybody's focused. This is what has upset me through the week. Everybody is focused on Aaron Rodgers. Everybody is letting Aaron Rodgers go ahead and bend over, and they're going to kiss his ass this week. Why? Because you beat an inept offense in the New York Giants. That defense, I thought they were going to win. I'm not trying to go back on that. I thought they were going to win because of the defense. But never did I think that offense was going to win that game for them.
No.
And here's the thing. That inept offense just couldn't put up the points with Green Bay because Green Bay has a terrible defense, and the New York Giants offense wasn't able to capitalize on that. Why? Because the New York Giants have absolutely no running game. What do the Dallas Cowboys do best? They run. The last time we played, over 190 yards rushing on the ground in Week 6. What's changed?
Well, let me just pose this question to you. A lot of people say that Green Bay's a different team, without Eddie Lacy, with Montgomery, Aaron Rodgers is playing better. So I don't know. I'm still thinking about it, but I want to know.
He's a wide receiver. Ty Montgomery is a wide receiver.
I know.
Right? I mean, we can agree there.
But their running game has improved with him in the backfield as opposed to Eddie Lacy.
Okay, can they run the ball, say, 25 times and be successful?
No.
Okay, there you go. It's not – whether they burn the Dallas. You know what? Remember that Eagles game? Remember when Ryan Matthews stunk up the joint so bad that they pulled him and started running Darren Sproles?
Yeah.
What happened? They started running on the Cowboys. And the thing is, Darren Sproles isn't a 25 carry back. You can only run him 10 to 12 times tops. So once he tops out at that, that's it. You can't expect that guy to run 25 times successfully. You can't. Ty Montgomery is the same deal. He might hurt us 1 or 2 times on some big runs, and that's it. He is not going to be a consistent threat through 4 quarters on that Dallas defense.
That's true. I look at this game, and it's just Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. I mean, what he's able to do is, I mean, I've seen very few he's the only one that can do what he does. Now, there are other quarterbacks that do things maybe better than him that cause them to be better. Brady, for example. He can't do what Aaron Rodgers does, but what Brady does allows him to be better than Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion. But, man, Aaron Rodgers scrambling, getting around, being able to find guys down the field. Look, let's make no mistake. I'm no fan of Dallas, and I'm no fan of Green Bay. They caused me lots of, not a big fan of either one of them. Never been a Favre fan. Aaron Rodgers kind of, I mean, he's great, but I'm not lining up for his autograph, and my hate for Dallas is well documented. But my view of this is 2 things. One, can I see a way to pick the Packers? Is there a way the Packers can beat Dallas? Yes, they can. If Aaron Rodgers is able to start to score, and yeah, Dallas is going to come back. I don't care if Aaron Rodgers and the Packers go up 17-0. I think Dallas can come back. But you're also dealing with the quarterback in Dak Prescott who, is going to, maybe he'll be great. I'm not saying he won't. And they don't ask him to do a lot. They ask Ezekiel Elliott to do a lot. If you sell out, but if you put them in 3rd and long, 3rd and 14, 3rd and 12, and he gets shaky, I'm not saying he's going to fall apart or anything like that. But to be able to match touchdowns with Aaron Rodgers is a tall task for even great quarterbacks. And if he ends up in a fight and in a thing in a game that's like that, where he has to match, where that defense lets him down and he has to keep going, it's going to be asking a lot. Now, my second part, what are the chances of that happening? And to be honest with you, those chances I don't think are that great. And I mean, you said it, and I'm going to steal it, is Aaron Rodgers has the ability he'll move the ball on the Cowboys. I have no doubt he'll get to the 25, to the 20. But when you get into that red zone and all of a sudden you don't have a running game that's respectable, and they can drop 8 and have 3, even the great Aaron Rodgers, I mean, that's 8 guys, 8 talented defensive players.
Morris Claiborne's back.
Yeah, and then you have Byron Jones, and I mean, Sean Lee's been healthy all year. That blew my mind.
Yeah.
There was some Vegas money I might have lost on that one.
Yeah.
But when it comes to football, you look at the teams, and then you look at the quarterback. If the teams are even, you pick the team with the better quarterback. If they're not, you have to be smart, and you pick the team that's better.
But we all know these teams are not even.
No.
We all know.
They're not.
Who has the advantage at quarterback?
Oh, it's Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers.
Who has the advantage at running back?
Oh, it's Ezekiel Elliott and the Dallas Cowboys.
Offensive line.
Cowboys.
Wide receivers. Keep in mind, Jordy Nelson has all but been ruled out.
I'll give a slight edge to Dallas.
A slight edge to Dallas.
Slight edge.
How do you figure a slight edge without Jordy Nelson? I would say a slight edge if Jordy Nelson was playing.
But I mean, I don't know if he's not going to play. Even hurt, I think he's
got 2 fractured ribs. He's not going to be able to breathe.
That's fine.
How is he going to play?
They'll just wheel him out. Aaron Rodgers will tell him just crawl over there. They got to put someone there. Look,
Jordy Nelson is the only receiver on that roster that Aaron Rodgers completely trusts. Randall Cobb is coming back into his own again.
Yeah.
But other than that,
well, I'll put it like this: if
it's Aaron Rodgers making those receivers.
Yeah, and if Jordy Nelson was 100% healthy, I think I'd give the slight edge to Green Bay because I think.
But you just did even without him.
No, I'd give the edge to Green Bay.
Okay.
I give the edge. I give a slight edge to Dallas. That's what I said. It's slight edge.
Okay.
And so I look at it like you're right because they have their number one. Dallas's number one is healthy. Green Bay's number one is banged up. But then after that, I think it's a crapshoot as far as the rest of the receivers are. You have Cobb versus
Terrence
Williams, Geronimo Allison versus, I forget his
name.
Butler. You have matchups there.
Beasley.
Beasley. I mean, they have their. I mean, to me, that's you match up Ty Montgomery. To be honest with you, I wouldn't even look at him. Like you said, he's not a running back.
Yeah.
But as a pass catcher, I think you go slide edge Dallas because of the injury. So yeah, Dallas.
Offensive line.
Oh yeah, that like we said, that was Dallas.
Defensive line.
That's Dallas.
Linebackers.
Yeah, that's Dallas. I mean, yeah, and secondary. Oh well, the secondary is a joke anyway.
Secondary.
So. I mean, it's his greatness. It's just that he's so great that they even have a chance. That's how great he is. But man, I'm just gonna say it because the suspense is with me on who I'm gonna pick because I so want to pick Green Bay and I think there's a way they can win if they can score and they can put pressure on Dallas, and if Dallas gets in their own way,
give those Packer fans false hope out there. Everywhere. Go ahead. Give it to them. Because
I could see this happening because I've seen this happen with Jason Garrett before. Is if you can trick Jason Garrett into making it a passing game.
Tony Romo's not starting this week?
Yeah.
He's not starting this week.
But yes, Dak's not going to make the mistakes, but maybe Dak doesn't get to make the big plays and you have to keep punting or you don't get the touchdowns. My thing is if you can make them nervous, that's how Green Bay beats Dallas, by making Dallas nervous. Oh no, we're in a shootout with Aaron Rodgers. Even if it's only 10-0 and you freak out and you forget where your bread is buttered and what feeds that team, and you get away from Ezekiel Elliott, yeah, because by the time you realize it's time to go back, maybe it's 24-7. And yeah, maybe you do make that comeback and you come back.
Let me just say this before you get off the topic of the Dallas running game. There's a beast that lives in Arlington, Texas. He wears number 21 on his chest. We keep him locked. You ever seen Return of the Jedi?
Yes, very much.
You remember when Luke went into Jabba's palace?
Oh, yeah.
And then he gets dropped down?
And he opens up.
The Rancor comes out, the beast, and it's hungry. Yeah. It just eats. It just devours
that
things.
one dude, savage.
Yes.
That green dude just viciously.
He even eats his own men. It
doesn't even matter.
Okay? We have one of those in Dallas, Ezekiel Elliott. And this beast has been starved out for almost a month. We pulled him in the second half at the Lions game. He didn't play at all in the Philadelphia game. And he didn't eat at all on the bye week. Almost a month that he hasn't ate, and he is hungry. And guess what he wants to eat? He wants to eat cheese. Cheese on defense. And he's going to cut through that defense like a knife with cheese. And that's why Green Bay is not going to win this game.
And what's the score?
I'm going to go 32-24, Dallas Cowboys.
All right. I think that Dallas, despite what I said, I think Dallas doesn't forget their running game. I think the smarter money is they run the ball. I think it'll be 28-20 or 30-21, and Green Bay will storm back and they'll find a way to maybe tie the game. And I think that with enough time, 3-4 minutes, Dallas will go down the field and they'll kick a game-winning field goal. I think my official score for this game was 34-31. The Dallas Cowboys, unfortunately, make it past the Green Bay Packers and into the NFC Championship.
We'll see. Well, let's go ahead and finish this off with a couple of true or false statements, kind of make our way around the league, maybe some teams that aren't in the playoffs and maybe some college football, statements, and see what we got. The first one, what everybody's been talking about. Let's go true or false. Odell Beckham Jr.'s yacht party in Miami directly affected his performance in the wild card playoff loss to the Packers.
Okay. Now, there's this notion by...
True or false?
Yes, it is true.
Okay.
It is so true. And I'll tell you what gets me, because I wanted to pre-revisit it, but you put me on there and I'm going to say true. And what I hate is that you say, oh, he can party, he can do what he wants, it doesn't affect it. All these people who say it is just old men. I'm in my 30s. I'm 30. Okay. I'm not old, but I was raised watching football thinking you got to prepare for the playoffs. You do what's best. And if you do party, you better ball out. And I think what happened to him was he went, not even on a bye week, which blows my mind in and of itself. No. He had a game next week.
Yeah.
Well, we give a lot of crap to Romo and those Cowboys. They had a bye week. Yeah. They had a week off. Yeah. It's, and we crushed them. He didn't even have a week off. But I think what it did to him, and what seems to happen to Odell Beckham Jr. is he let the questions get in his head.
Yeah.
Okay, I need to perform. And then when he dropped it, it became worse. He's the kind of guy that if he starts to drop the ball, or he doesn't like to be questioned, so if he starts to fall apart, he's going to go downhill. And I think that's why it's true that what that boat party did, maybe not partying, but because of that event, directly led to him having a bad, not just like a drop, but a bad game across the board.
Yeah, I think he's too cocky for his own good, in my opinion. I think he was I'm going to say true as well, and I'm just going to add on to, I agree with everything you said first and foremost, but I'm going to add on to that and just say he's cocky enough to think, hey, I don't need to watch extra film. I don't need to prepare that extra day, even though it's a day off. I don't need to be cool, on the week of the playoffs. I'm going to go to Miami. And I think he has that cockiness. Look at him before the game. He was out there without a shirt, taking selfies in the snow.
Yep.
And what happened during the game? He's in there with a blanket and a heater, freezing his ass off.
Yeah.
You know what? Reality is going to hit him hard in the head.
Yep.
Harder than that wall that he broke,
Yeah.
And that's the way it is with him. I think it's true. It may not have maybe directly affected it, but in perception
it's
and his mentality, it directly affected
I think that people are naive to say, well, that means that he was hungover for 8 days. And no, that's not what we mean. That's not what people who look at this and say that it was an issue, that's not what they mean. Is that you invite extra pressure without showing you can perform.
Right.
Exactly. You got to be able to do it. If he didn't do this and he had a drop or two, yeah, it's a bad game, but I think he could sit there and say, okay, there's things I need to do. But now you have Eli telling him he needs to back it up.
Jerry Reese came out today.
Said he needs to mature.
Yeah.
Do you think they say that if he doesn't go on the boat trip? Even if,
No.
And yeah, maybe if he goes and he catches, then you say, you know what? Yeah, now you're in that level. But you're not Michael Irvin. You're not Carter. You're not Moss. You're not Teal. You're none of those guys, okay? You're not. You're a great receiver. You make great catches. You got some speed. But do it in the playoffs. As much as I'm not a fan of what Terrell Owens did later on in his career, that run with the Eagles where he broke his ankle and played, 4 weeks later and balled out, that's amazing. That's a guy. As much as we hate on him, look what he did, So I think that you're right. I think we both agree on the true. It was an issue for him.
Yeah, definitely. Let's go hit another one. The Oakland Raiders will make the playoffs in 2017.
I'm going to ask you what you are thinking about that one.
I see no reason to doubt them. I think they got a good young quarterback. They got a consistent, coaching staff. Well, shoot, can't say that.
Nope.
Offensive coordinator is changing. Maybe Oakland's
Bill
going back to
Musgrave's
being
gone.
Oakland. Yeah. Well, regardless, I'll take the quarterback over the coordinator. Mm-hmm. So I'll say yes. I'm going to lean with yes.
False. Let me lay out my case because a lot of Raider fans just threw their Coronas at me. I'm getting some death threats. We already know that that's how they roll.
A couple came in right now.
Yeah. Knocks at the door. Look, I'm not saying they're not going to be better, but let's just take a look at their season. You had a lot of wins that came close. 2-point conversion try. If Crabtree, which proven he can drop balls, apparently he drops that ball, they lose to the Saints. Yeah. A lot of games where they won close games, and that always doesn't happen. You don't always win close games. They can go a different way. You can get an interception. You could let a drive go down the field. And then let's look at their season. You know how many playoff teams they played? Played 3. Atlanta, who they lost. And then they played Kansas City twice. Lost to both of them.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, and then they did win one. Houston. They beat Houston with Brock Osweiler in Texas. That playoff team. So they were 1-3. Okay. They played the
Broncos.
NFC.
Did they have a winning record?
Who?
Broncos.
No.
They were 8-8.
I think they were 9-7.
That's a winning record.
Oh, I mean playoff teams. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking of the Texans. Because you know what I mean.
Yeah,
they were technically a playoff team.
Yeah.
So they really didn't beat any playoff teams. You look at, we'll take Dallas, for example. Dallas beat Green Bay. That's a playoff team. Dallas beat Detroit. Playoff team. Dallas went and beat, they beat a close playoff team they beat the Steelers. Playoff team. They went and they beat a lot of good teams. the Oakland Raiders played the NFC and AFC South. Okay, so that means they got the Andrew.
They did.
They got Andrew Luck and no team, nothing. They got the Andrew Lucks.
Terrible.
Okay, they got the Texans. I mean, they got the Texans. They beat the Titans and the Jaguars.
You are crushing the hopes and dreams of Raider Nation.
Guess what? They also got to play the Bucs, who
You're
were good.
not stopping.
Oh no, this stomping is coming, and they beat teams like Tennessee and Tampa, who are a year behind them in their development.
Yeah, right. I agree.
Okay, who were the teams they played that were out of their conference? The other teams. They played Buffalo. They played Cincinnati in a down year. Guess who they play? Guess who the two divisions they play next year? The NFC and AFC East.
Oh yeah.
They play the Giants, the Eagles, the Redskins, Dallas. They play New England. They're gonna play what's left of the Jets. They're gonna play a good Miami team who's probably on their level. And then you look at their own division. Kansas City is always gonna be there. You don't think if Denver finds a quarterback, they're not
Denver's
gonna be back?
Gonna be there.
Yeah.
They're at least going to be as good as they were this year.
Exactly. So that's two other teams. Let's say you can get above Denver and you have KC, so there's one playoff spot left.
Hey, you can argue they're above KC this year with Carr.
But they lost him twice.
Yeah.
They got dominated.
Yeah, they did.
They got bullied.
Yeah.
And so they may have had a better record because Kansas City did dumb things like lose to Tennessee and Tampa.
Yeah.
Okay. But do I think Baltimore's going to be good again?
I do.
Yeah. Do I think Cincinnati can rebound, at least be a threat? Yes.
Yeah.
So when I look at this, I don't see. I think maybe they'll be better, but I think they're going to face better teams who are actually ready for them.
Yeah.
Derek Carr was streaky at times. You have receivers that drop balls. A lot of things can go your way in the negative. If you're not careful. And I think in 2017, better competition, teams are going to be better. And I think Oakland could even win 10 games and miss the playoffs.
That's possible. It's happened before. Good points. Let's look at the third one. Josh McDaniels is the best choice as the next head coach of the San Francisco 49ers.
So as a Niners fan, this was just disappointing isn't the word I would use. It's true. And it's true because I think he's learned. He's learned from his stint in Denver. I think you have a roster that has no contracts. They're going to have over $100 million in salary cap.
Cap room.
Yes, they have $100 million free. Okay, 11 picks. He's going to get to work with the GM and kind of decide. It's going to be more of the way Pete Carroll and I think it's Snyder the way they run their operation, where it's not just GM head coach. It's more of they work together. It's not so much one boss, underneath the other. And I look at what he can do. He can go and he has the capital to get a Jimmy Garoppolo. If he gets Garoppolo, I feel better than if anybody else were hired and tried to trade for Garoppolo. Because at least he knows two things. He's worked with Garoppolo, and he knows that this is his last chance. If he fails here, he becomes Charlie Weiss.
Right.
And that's it. You're done.
Right.
So everything he's going to do is going to be to win because he knows deep down this is your best shot. The owner's going to give you time. You're a great offensive scheme. You've worked with Tom Brady. You didn't make Tom Brady. Nobody made Tom Brady. But you've worked with Tom Brady. You see how Tom Brady prepares. You've seen how you two have worked together. He can, infuse that in San Francisco. If he brings Garoppolo and he's able to use these draft picks on defense and they can turn this team around in 2 years, they can be competing with Seattle for that division in 3 years, competing with Dallas.
Yeah, Seattle's on their way down.
Yeah.
Rams don't scare you.
Yeah, exactly. That division isn't the world beater it was a few years ago. So I think he's the best fit because he's also had head coaching experience. He's young. He's smart. They have a lot of stuff. And he wants to be there. That's what everybody says. Unless Jed York screws it up, he wants to be there because it gives him the best chance to start and build an organization.
Screw it. I'll say false.
I'd love to hear this.
He's the biggest name because of his experience and his pedigree coming from New England, working with Belichick. But as we all know, a lot of Belichick assistants fail. Mm-hmm. Now, if he brings in some New England people with him, then I think it's a little bit better of a situation because he'll have people that he can, again, work with that understand the New England way, quote unquote.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of good candidates that are lesser names, but I think could possibly be better than somebody like McDaniels. I'll bring up one that I thought I'd be interested in if I was looking for a head coach, and that's Sean McVay from Redskins. He's the offensive coordinator. Look at that Redskins offense. Kirk Cousins, he's earning his money. Look at how dangerous that offense is. Those wide receivers, the way he gets them open, the way he schemes them up, the way that they can all play different spots, the X, the Y. Those receivers move around the field, confuse defenses. I think that shows that he's a young coach. He's 30 years old.
Yeah.
30 years old. Hey, John Madden, John Gruden.
That's what they've compared him to, a young Gruden. I mean, he's interviewed with the 49ers, and his grandfather worked with Bill Walsh. He was the vice president of operations and helped build those Super Bowls. I wouldn't say no. If they turned around and said, we're going to hire Sean McVay, I would sit there and say, all right. I'd be a little nervous because he is 30. Unless you're going to go with the complete youth movement with the GM and everybody, fine. But I just feel like the best is still Josh McDaniels because he has the ability to bring in a quarterback and a system that I just don't think McVay can bring in. There's no system. Can he be a great play caller? Yes. But he's going to learn on the job. And I think you have to be willing to take a long time with him because he doesn't.
But if it's worth it. Because you got to look at it. You're right. McDaniels is going to try to bring a system that he's learned in New England, and he's going to try to duplicate that or replicate that as closely as possible. But he's not going to have Tom Brady.
Nope.
And he's not going to have Bill Belichick. They don't get to come with him.
I know, sadly.
And exactly. And maybe Brady might want to retire in San Francisco.
Yeah,
then you never know.
Yeah.
Unless Brady says, hey, you know what, I'll retire. When Belichick cuts me, I'll go over there. Then maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
But if not, why not go for the young, innovative coach? I mean, let's go balls out. You can't be any worse than you were this year.
No.
So why not? Let's do it. That's what I think.
I mean, you made good points, and I guess I'm just excited because you can't do no worse than what they were.
Exactly.
So any improvement, whether it's McVay.
The best thing about being on the bottom is there's only one way to go. Up.
All right, so for our final one, I'm pretty sure if you're listening to this, you watched the national championship game.
Very good game.
That was an amazing game. We have some college loyalties and loves there, but we're going to tie it into pro. You saw the amazing game Deshaun Watson had against that Alabama defense.
Yeah.
420 yards. Was it 2 touchdowns? He moved the ball at will, especially in the fourth quarter, against a defense that was talked about being the best defense in college football history that has first-round picks. They probably have four first-round picks in Jonathan Allen, Reuben Foster, Tim Williams, Ryan Anderson. They're stacked, and he went down the field on them twice. He put up 21 points in the fourth quarter.
In money time.
Yeah. So my question is, true or false? Clemson's Deshaun Watson will be a first-round pick in the next draft.
The way this question is posed to me, I'm going to say true. And why is that? It's very simple. There's no, crazy answer to this one. It's simple because teams reach for quarterbacks. Teams are thirsty for quarterbacks, and even though he might not be, a top 15, top 20 talent, somebody will reach for him and get him in the top 20.
Yeah, I think it's true, but I think it's true, and I think he'd go as high as 1. I think if Cleveland or San Francisco, if we go the McVay route and he wants a young quarterback, he can go that route. He can build around him and Carlos Hyde. What I saw, he's inconsistent at times. Sometimes he's made bad decisions, but man, when the game is on the line and he's playing for a national championship, he was flawless in those last 2.
He was, but to play devil's advocate, that Alabama defense was gassed. That Alabama defense was on the field a big portion of that game, and going down the stretch, you could tell they were tired.
Yeah, but they are also tired because they were knocking the stuffing out of him in that first quarter. That one play, I think it was like 3rd and 12, where he thought, oh yeah, everyone's watching, he's going to get a first down, and he goes in the air, and Reuben Foster just lights him up. Spins him in the air a yard short, and he gets up. He took a lot of hits, and he kept persevering. He played within his limits. I think he did something that he couldn't do last year, and it does help Mike Williams was playing in this game. It helps a lot. It's no lie. But when you look at what he did, hey, they're going to blitz me. I'm not going to try to do something crazy. I'm just going to loft it up to Mike Williams. Sometimes people take that for granted. And I take you back real quick to last year's AFC Championship game, Denver and New England, right? 4th and 14, 4th and 20. Does Brady do this crazy scheme where he opens? No. You know what he does? He takes 3 steps and lobs it to Gronkowski.
Yeah.
Because sometimes that's the smart
Right,
play.
it is.
And you have to play. And I think that there is a lot of, as far as skill set, similar to Dak Prescott. You know, these guys both came out of spread offenses. You know, I think they were both streaky as far as accuracy. You know, Dak is special. I don't want to compare him in whole, you know, because of what makes Dak great. But as far as on the field, I think he's got a lot of similarities. And there's a team that will maybe picking late in the draft that had experience holding on to a quarterback. There's a coach by the name of Andy Reid who drafted a Donovan McNabb, who if he gets him in the late rounds, I mean, Alex Smith's getting up there.
Yeah.
And if you could sit there
expiring contract too, I think.
I think so too. And I think if you could sit him for a year and you have Andy Reid work with someone like him, man, I think that he will go, because I think Kansas City will be the last team on the board that gets him. So I think it's true. We're going to see Deshaun Watson at the latest go to Kansas City.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the 2017 NFL draft, and my season isn't even over yet.
Yeah.
But
I've been looking forward to it since week 3.
But I'm looking forward to some good divisional round playoff games. We're going to see how we did last week in the wild card round. What did you go? Did you go 2-2?
I went 2-2.
Went 3-1, so I'm 1 up on you. We got one difference this week, right?
Yep.
We got the Chiefs-Steelers game.
Yeah, so either you gain or I catch up and even up for the NFC and
we'll go
AFC
into
championship.
the championship game, and we'll see where we land.
Yep.
So till next week, we'll see you next time for the AFC and NFC championship podcast.